Hello, I hope you're well. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's video, which is the Festive Book Tag. I don't know how many times I've said it on this channel already, but you will likely hear it countless times in December. I love the holiday season, and it is most certainly in full swing here. Thanksgiving has come and gone. My mother and I woke up at the crack of dawn and did our Black Friday shopping. It is now permissible in this house for me to play Christmas carols non-stop, and no one will say a thing about it. In a matter of days, our Christmas tree will be up, and my little Christmas tree that usually features in my videos will probably be up as well. Like, I'm here for it all. This is, as I've said many times, my favorite time of the year. So I did think that this was like the perfect video to film. I know it is barely December, but hopefully this gets you in that festive holiday mood, because I am certainly in it. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. This is just going to be a fun, chatty video, but I do think that I'm going to take a page out of Rosie's book and actually tag people at the beginning rather than at the end. So I'm going to tag Gloria, Shelley, and Annie to do this tag if they are so inclined. I would love to see their answers. If not, it's okay. And if there's anyone out there who's watching who wants to do this video, I invite you to as well. But why don't we dive right in? Alright, so question number 1 is, what fictional family would you like to spend Christmas dinner with? Like, the uncreative answer for me very easily would be The March Family from Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. For whatever reason, that book just gives me so many like Christmassy holiday vibes. However, that's not my answer. I read all of Talia Hibbert's books this year, and I think that my answer is going to be the Brown sisters and their family. So Chloe, Danny, Eve, and everyone, and Co. For whatever reason, I do think that any holiday spent with them is just going to be so lively, so festive, so filled with energy, because there's so many big personalities in that family. And I'm not even just talking about the sisters and their love interests. I'm also talking about like Gigi and Shivani. I think the pair of them would be so fun to like sit down and drink eggnog with, and I don't even like eggnog. But I do feel like there's just some sort of energy there that would make holidays with them very loud, very entertaining, lots of food, lots of drinking, lots of laughter, and that, to be quite honest, sounds like the perfect Christmas dinner to me. Question 2 is, what bookish item would you like to receive as a gift? Now, I'm assuming a bookish item does not include an actual book, because I do have quite a few on my list, as my family knows. But if it has to be a bookish item, I would say that I am a sucker for like a bookish sweatshirt, like something with a quote on it, you know the type, or a bookish tote, same thing applies, like something with a quote on it and maybe some fun, relevant art, but also bookish reading socks. So those really big like knitted socks that have like lining and they go up to like mid-calf, or sometimes I have a few that go to your knees. I live in those once it's cool enough to reasonably wear really big socks. I don't wear slippers, I wear those. So any of those 3 things could be bookish gifts for yours truly. Truly, Brittany, truly. So, there you go. Let's go to question 3. What fictional character do you think would make a perfect Christmas elf? Not to sound redundant, but I am going to say Eve Brown. I just feel like there's something about her energy and sort of the happy-go-lucky way about her that's almost childlike. And I could very easily picture her like prancing around in a Santa hat or an elf hat with bells and just like doling out Christmas gifts. Like, it's a mental image that I now have that makes me smile. So I do think Eve Brown would be the perfect Christmas elf. Then we have match a book to its perfect Christmas song, which I thought would be the most difficult of these questions, and actually the pairing came to me right away. So The Revolution of Marina M by Janet Fitch, and the carol A Little Boy That Santa Claus Forgot. It's not like common or particularly popular Christmas song. In fact, the only version of it that I can think of is by Natalie Cole. It is a bit of a sad and somewhat depressing Christmas song, mind you, but it definitely feels like it belongs with Marina M. Like, this is a young girl who basically throws away the life she has known, this bourgeois life, with her family to live in poverty as a revolutionary with a bunch of very fervent revolutionaries. And like, she's living at a time in the Russian Revolution where there's very little access to material goods, and there's something a little bit sad and hangdog about her. There's a lot, because there's a lot of sadness as well, and a lot of betrayal and things like that. And The Little Boy That Santa Claus Forgot seems like it's written for Marina M, so that is gonna be my pairing there. And I don't know if that was a great explanation, so apologies. It worked in my head. Let's just moving on. So, Bah Humbug, what book or fictional character have you been disappointed in and should be put on the naughty list? Listen, everyone knows by now that Addie LaRue and I did not get on, and there will probably be a second rant on that book in my video that's on the most disappointing reads of 2021. However, the book that really is at the forefront of my mind right now is Pachenko by Min Jin Lee, and that's because I honestly went into that book with such high expectations. I'd heard so many rave reviews about it. It is my favorite genre, historical fiction. It's also like a family saga, somewhat multi-generational, and those are things that I really tend to enjoy. However, I did not get along with this book, try as I might. I feel like I didn't connect with the characters on the like emotional level that I needed to for this particular story. I actually felt quite distant or quite removed from them, to the point that I didn't necessarily care about what they were going through or experiencing in a way that I should have for it to actually have resonated with me or had like any lasting impact. And it's not that the writing wasn't beautiful. I think the prose was actually quite striking, but I am someone who becomes really invested in characters. I love those character-driven stories in general, and this just didn't do it for me. So, Pachenko would go on the naughty list. Then we're moving on to what book or fictional character do you think deserves more love and appreciation and deserves to be put on the nice list? And I'm gonna go with Things in Jars by Jess Kidd, and I'm gonna go with this book for fiction. I'm gonna bring up a non-fiction book as well. I so loved that book, and it surprised me how much I loved that book, because there are some like more fantastical elements to it that aren't usually my bag, but I loved the characters in it. I loved the world that was built. So effectively, the main character, Bridie, is this sort of eccentric detective living in Victorian England, and she's tasked with trying to find this missing child, Christabel, who is rumored to have sort of supernatural powers. But Bridie, in her quest to solve the mystery of this girl, Christabel, also has this like motley crew of individuals who help her, a ghost pugilist, and a giantess, and it's just a really, really fun world to be in. There was a lot of humor there. There were these like darker elements that I appreciated. The character variety was just a ton of fun. Her relationship with the ghost of the boxer also just was really heartwarming and fun. And I know that a few of my regular viewers have read this book on my recommendation and really enjoyed it, but I feel like I don't hear people talk about it. Like, I don't think I've ever seen it really on BookTube or Bookstagram, but it was just a lot of fun if you're someone who likes historical fiction, the Victorian setting in particular, but if you like more whimsical or supernatural elements to be present as well, I think it's something that's worth a shot. And because I really enjoyed that book so much, I really hope that it becomes like a series. I think right now it's a standalone. I don't know if there are any plans to turn it into a series, but I would be here for it. Let me just say that. So that's the fictional book that I'm choosing for this. If I had to choose a non-fiction book, I would pick No Man's Land, which I just read. It's by Wendy Moore, so you'll hear more about it if you haven't already in my November wrap-up, but it is the story of these two suffragette doctors who end up running a military hospital during World War I that is staffed almost exclusively by other women who work as doctors, surgeons, orderlies, just all of the staffing requirements are essentially by women, and it was just such an inspirational story to read. Like, these women who are doing this are doing it at a time when they are looked down upon professionally. They've had to fight and scrape to get every sort of little like medical position that they possibly could to be recognized and acknowledged by the military for what they're doing, and it was just so good. I had such a fantastic time with it. But yeah, it's a book that I feel like I don't hear talked about all that much, but it really was truly inspiring. I know, like, little Brittany, who had aspirations of being a doctor once upon a time, if she had read this, would have been so empowered by it. And, like, the history of not only the women who are running the hospital and the people they're working with, but the look at what the like wartime experience was and sort of the medical history involved just really was well done in my opinion. So that would be the non-fiction pick for this answer to the question. Moving on to the next question, which is red, gold, and green. Name a book cover that has a wonderfully Christmassy feel to it. I don't really have all that many because I don't really read books that are like seasonal in the sense that they are set at Christmas time. But the book that does come to mind for sure is A Breath of Snow and Ashes by Diana Gabaldon, which is the 6th book in the Outlander series. It has a very metallic silver cover with red writing and a snowflake on it. And, like, the silver and gold, like, song, it just all clicks in my mind, and this makes me think Christmas. The book itself is not Christmassy in vibe, but considering the title, the cover does make a lot of sense. But yes, that is probably as Christmassy as any book covers that I personally own gets. So, there you go. And the last question, what book or series do you love so much that you want everyone to find it under the tree this year so they can read it and love it too? So many books. So many books. Nonfiction seems easy for this one. Catherine the Great by Robert K. Massey. I mean, I know people who read nonfiction and have read this book have really enjoyed it. I haven't really heard negative things about it. It is quite a tome, and since it is nonfiction, it's not a book that I think everyone would gravitate towards, but it is so well done, and Catherine the Great has been a historical girl crush of mine for years, but this book just like cemented her position in my heart. It was so fascinating learning about her in this amount of detail, and it was wonderful. However, it is nonfiction, so I do feel like it's one of those books that not everyone would readily consider, and it is quite big. It is certainly a tome, which I think would dissuade some people as well, but I absolutely loved that book and probably will never stop talking about it. It's already a book that I want to reread because it was just so good. As far as fiction goes, I would probably say The Street by Ann Petrie, because this is one of these like modern classics that I feel like no one has heard of and everyone should read. It was so powerful, and it is written by a Black author and is about a single mother living in Harlem, and it's just so much of what it's talking about, of the blight of Black men and women during that time, is so powerful and impactful, and the writing is just so striking. And also, fun fact, Ann Petrie, if I remember rightly, is the first Black woman to have authored a book that sold over 1 million copies. But I feel like it's a book that very few people have heard of present day, and it deserves time and attention, and I want everyone to read it and everyone to love it because it's just flawless. So that would be the other book for fiction that I would want to put under the tree for everyone and have them read it and love it as much as I did. But those are the answer to my festive book tag questions. As I said, it was very much to get me in the Christmas spirit, not that I think that I'm ever out of the Christmas spirit, and hopefully get you in the spirit as well. Most of the books that I've talked about are kind of heavy. They're not particularly festive books themselves, but that is very much on brand for me because I love the drama, I love the tragedy. It's a vibe. Even at Christmas, those are the books that I gravitate towards. But I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe, because all of those things help this little channel grow, and they mean the world to me. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!